Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of the Snap Judgments podcast, the official podcast from World Snap Zone, and we're going real late tonight. This is getting recorded last minute a little bit. We watched My Neighbor Totoro with my son, and then, so spoiler, Gilmore Girls is like an amazing show. If you haven't watched it, you're immediately laughing at me and judging me. And if you have watched it, you're nodding along. My wife and I are rewatching it, and she was like, I'm going to stay up late and keep watching. So we did that. We stayed up late, we watched a bunch, and now we're on to today's decks. I'd like to remind everybody that over on Marvel Snap Zone, all of last week's videos have found their way to Sleeper Decks of the Week right over here in this article. And a lot of these decks come with gameplay videos from our friends. There's also like tweets that prove where they landed and all that kind of good stuff. But they're all over this article. So if you would check that out, I'd appreciate it. In addition to that, what I'd like you to do as you're watching this is hit that sub button. If you've already hit that sub button, hit like and comment. I'd really, really appreciate the support, one. But in return for all of that support, you get 2 decks every single weekday here on Snap Judgment's YouTube channel. And in addition to those 2 decks every single weekday, we do the biggest giveaway in Marvel Snap. We make sure that as many people as honestly we can afford, and then probably a little more, get season passes. We do a giveaway that gives away more season passes and more good stuff than anyone else. That giveaway is coming up, so make sure you're subbed so you don't miss out. All right, enough of the sales pitch. Let's get to today's decks. We are going to start with Galactus. I really, really, really like this deck. This is our friend Combat over at Combat-Marvel Snap if you want to check out his content. This is one of Combat's deck. He's been dominating Conquest mode with it. You're going to notice first and foremost that much of this deck looks exactly like, and I don't mean sort of, I mean exactly like the standard high Evo lockdown. We've got most of the pieces from the 1-drops with the armor, which I don't even usually run anymore, but it's his deck and it's been so successful. We're not, if it's not broke, we're not fixing it. We've got our Storm Cyclops to win a lane. We've got our Spider-Man to lock another lane. We've got our Hulk to go over the top. You've seen this deck. But this deck takes advantage of Jean Grey to have a absolutely beautiful Galactus. So if you know your opponent is playing certain decks, if you know your opponent is playing certain things, you know that on the last turn of the game, they're going to have to play into that Jean lane. They're very often going to think that's going to make them win because their assumption is that you're playing either Hulk or Doom, and they do the math for Hulk or Doom, right? Well, what you can do is you can play Wasp into that lane or have that lane already filled and drop Galactus in another for a free auto victory. It's an absolutely straight up chef's kiss beautiful play. It even works if you get the like Storm Cyclops going and then the next turn you just drop Jean or drop Jean and Sunspot or Jean Nebula Armor Shock or whatever, and then the last turn you can do that Wasp into Galactus play. While a lot of opponents, people that are playing things like Red Skull, right? And Red Skull is back in the meta, are going to be playing in a very specific, very focused lane. You get to Galactus and steal the win. This deck is absolutely beautiful in that it is not only going to win you a lot of games because that lockdown shell is so strong, but it's also going to win you a lot of extra cubes because the snap conditions are so clear. If you're locking up a lane with Storm and Cyclops and you're winning that, you're probably going to win that game with or without the Galactus anyway, right? But Galactus is this weird guaranteed victory in certain situations. Don't sleep on it. It's an absolute beauty of a play. You need to check this deck out. You need to try it out. You're not going to be sad that you tried. All right. Next up, we have a top deck. Ooh, that's the wrong version. Let's hit it this way. We have a top deck from our boy CoolKG. CoolKG is hangs out on Matrim and our boy Fozzer's Discord, and we talk to him a fair amount. We see him in various of the Twitch streams we hang out on too. Cool dude, plays in all the Marvel Snap Battle Arena tournaments and has been grinding. What CoolKG has done here is basically combine the Denver Surfers, Invisible Woman, and Shadow King package with Quinee. Quinee Equinox is a phenomenal tournament player. She's a wonderful person, does a lot of math for the game, puts in a lot of work for the community. She built this surfer deck that you probably saw, let's be honest, on Nina's channel, because Nina's Noob is one of the biggest content creators, phenomenal human being. If you're interested in more from Nina, by the way, check out last week's Snap Judgment podcast, where she's a guest with Super Tech God. That's on the Marvel Snap Zone YouTube or your favorite podcatcher. Nina played Quinee's surfer deck to infinite, while um, while Den's version, Lauren and many other people, Lauren whatever, our friend at Marvel Snap Zone, hey Lauren, used to hit infinite the Denverse version. So CoolKG basically took those two versions, the one running Spider-Man and Cosmo, and one running Shadow King Invisible Woman, and said, what if I just took all the best of both worlds? Bet you win a lot of games, and it turns out, in fact, that you do. So you have multiple ways of winning here. The two obvious and straightforward ones are you Storm Juggernaut one lane. You can read where they're going to play on the second to last turn. You Spider-Man another. You're able to go over the top in that Spider-Man lane that they can't play in. You've already won that Storm lane. Enjoy your cubes. It's a wonderful, straightforward, easy play. Goose also works really well here if they are going to want a Hulk in one of those lanes, right? You can play Hulk and, I don't know, whatever. Play Goose and Polaris in a lane, play Goose and Killmonger in a lane, play Goose and Cosmo in a lane, and then or play Goose in one lane and Cosmo in another. So now they can't Doom and they can't play that Hulk, and they are left without good plays. It works great. That Goose lane is still obviously completely safe for your shenanigans, your Shadow Kings, Killmongers, Surfers, so on. And thus you are able to win a bunch of extra cubes and steal the game. It also has the answer. So that's how it beats like the high evolutionary style decks. That works more or less against the current versions of Shuri as well, where Shadow King does a great job at making those decks that you are able to compete with in terms of size, although you will need Storm to steal a lane. Those are running Kitty, so Killmonger still does work. There's some versions, not many, but some that run Luke Cage. If you run into a Luke Cage version, you're going to have trouble. It is what it is. You're really going to want that Goose to help you win that matchup at that point, because Goose and Killmonger will still fundamentally get you the win. But against Standard Bounce, which is still mathematically the best deck in the game for at least another couple days, you want that Invisible Woman package. Invisible Woman Killmonger, Invisible Woman Shadow King win that match. They don't sort of win that match. They turn that match into a rout. This becomes one of the best decks into the Bounce matchup in the game. This deck is absolutely stellar. It has, look, it's got at worst a 50-50 to nearly everything in the meta once you learn how to play it, once you learn what goes with. All right, that's today's Snap Take. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully you will hit me with that like and sub. I look forward to earning your support. Anyone who's watched this long, you deserve to know there will be another video later today. A lot of content creators, a lot of my friends are doing something I'm not super crazy about, and I don't think they're doing it on purpose, but I want to try and correct what I think is a misjudgment on the part of the community. So that's going to be a second video later on today. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your Monday, and peace.